Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the City of Healing, where the city resides within. This is your sister, Sinette and Tara Angela. And again, I wanted to just briefly describe what I mean by the city residing within. Not only am I talking about the body's own way of healing itself, by way of the mechanisms of your organs, how well you take care of yourself, but also as the way you view the world, the way you view your outside world, basically. Not only the people around you, the food, the medicine, it's just your perception. It all comes from within, and everybody has a different view of things. So that is what I mean by city of healing. And then we do still want to continue to build upon our city, add new things, new people, and just build upon it. I understand that, and I wanted to make sure that was clear. Even though I have described it or said it before, I just wanted to say it again now. But anyway, the purpose of the video today, I wanted to talk about a book review. And originally, I was going to talk about this book because last week I talked a little bit about nanotechnology, and I went online and I wanted to look more into it because it's interesting, as I mentioned before. And the books that I found were very expensive, like $270, $300. I didn't want to invest like that. But the most affordable book that I saw, which was about $15, $16, was this book by Tom and Nita Horn called Forbidden Gates. And it is a very good read book. I started reading it, and I'll review it again later. I didn't completely finish it because I mentioned before, sometimes I read more than one book at a time. But this book, copyright 2010. So I think, you know, there are some videos about the author, but not necessarily about this book. I don't think it's really talked about a lot, but it is a good read, very interesting, very different perspective, I believe, about, you know, nanotechnology not being sci-fi, but actually a reality. And it's, like I said, a very good read, and I'll talk about it again someday. But I also wanted to, even though I have a lot of books, I'm trying to go more into some audibles because, as I mentioned before, I'm decluttering. So I'm getting rid of a lot of things, selling them off, giving them away, including my perfumes. And I'm just gonna kind of be more of a minimalist, so to speak. But my books, I haven't decided. I'm not giving those away. I'm still even getting some books in, but some of them I'm considering getting them as Kindles or Audibles. I don't have too many Kindles. I've tried a few Audibles, and I was going to get this book in Audible. And I've been on Audible for a while, even though I don't use it. I probably had about 4 books, but I have a lot of credits on Audible. And so, you know, most credits, you know, get you 1 book, and you can get several books, you know, if you wanted to, and even return them. But as I was looking to see if this book was an Audible, the first book that came up was the Pegen Diet. And I've seen it before, and I've heard it talked about, and I was like, Pegen, you know, what does that mean? And I'm not, as I mentioned before, talk about or describe or classify how I eat. And so basically I read the introduction, and I was like, wow, this is sort of like the way I really eat. And so I bought the Audible, and I finished it probably, if not the same day, the day after. And I was like, well, you know, I got to buy this book, you know, so I can read it again. And so I did. I think I bought it on, I ordered it on Wednesday or Thursday. But anyway, I said, and it said that the book would be here before Saturday. I was like, okay. So I was like, well, if that book don't come, which I'll probably talk about, but if that book don't come, I'll just go ahead and finish this book and, you know, review that book. And so yesterday when I was coming home, here comes Amazon truck. I was like, don't tell me that is that the Pegen Diet book. And sure enough, just as I was driving up, you know, it says, you know, in my mind, yeah, this is what I have to do, review this book. So that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit today, is the Pegen Diet by Dr. Mark Hyman. And it's a really good book. And, you know, I've read a lot of different health books. I've read about Dr. Sadie's books. I have a couple of his books. Dr. Layla Africa, you know, I have all of those books. Dr. Mendoza and David Wolf, I have a lot of their books as well. I've never gotten a book from him. And I've seen a couple of his videos, but I was interested in this book after reading it because I was like, this resonated with me. So what this book basically divides up 21 practical principles for reclaiming your health in a nutritionally confusing world. And this book came out in 2021. So this is like the best book I believe that you can get, you know, to start off the year, how that we need to reclaim our health, because as we know, you know, a lot of things are going on. And I think the key lies in the way that we really treat ourselves, because the way we treat ourselves is going to be a reflection of our world. You know, the one affects the all, really. And I think that's what we're not getting right. We are looking for easy fixes, false fixes that's really kind of not solving the problem. Solving the problem, you know, people, I feel, don't understand is that what we eat affects everyone, because, you know, as we breathe, we are exhaling whatever is in our body and is shared with everyone else. That's just the logic of it, really. And, you know, when we get rid of our waste, it's really shared with the world, with the earth and everybody. When we die, no matter how we die, it's still shared with the world, whether we are taken to the sea, cremated, or buried in the ground. This is how we fuel our planet, is with ourselves and, of course, the sun. So, you know, what we're taking in, what we've done, we have taken away our nutrition because we have fed ourselves the wrong things, obviously. We're not eating whole foods. We're looking for quick fixes, quick foods, junk foods. And that's what we're giving back to our planet, and that's what our planet is giving back to us. Therefore, we're not as healthy as we used to be or can be. We're not as strong. We're not having the optimal immune system as evidence as the way that we are fueling ourselves. And so our lack of nutrition is a result of how we have treated ourselves and thus the earth over a period of time. And as I read this, well, listen to the Audible, a lot of this stuff I've said before. If you look or will look at any of the videos, some of the things I've always said all the while. But getting to the book, The Pegen Diet, and basically is, he talks about, he was with some friends, and one was a vegan and one was paleo, and he basically put the names together and it became the Pegen Diet. And basically that's basically the way I eat over 80% of the time, with healthy fats, of course, protein, you know, I include fish, chicken. I don't do, you know, the other red meats, because most of the red meats, as we know, aren't as healthy or raised in the correct way or eating the right type of foods. We're not feeding the meats that we eat the right things. But a couple of the chapters or principles that I want to talk about. But first, before I do that, I believe he's a functional medicine doctor, and I really think that is the wave of the future. It doesn't just suggest or deal with, you know, our medicine. If we take medicine, it deals with exercise holistically, everything that makes an individual a healthy person, and it does it on an individual basis. And this is not anything really new. I think it's something that we have basically lost. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of Ibn Sina, Ibnsina. He sort of like is a father of medicine, not only Hippocrates or Imhotep and a lot others that we probably haven't heard of, but Ibn Sina is more of, or one of the first holistic functional medicine doctors, along with a lot of other things that he was very gifted in. And if you don't know about him, research him and you'll find out a lot of interesting things about him. And he was talked about in medical schools as well. However, it's not the practice of most doctors now, but I believe it can come back. But anyway, this book has like 21 principles or chapters. Two of my favorite, let me see let me read some of them and I'll let you know which one's my favorite, and then I'll talk about them a little bit. Principle 1, the food as your pharmacy. Not the PHARMACY, but the farm, FARM, food is medicine. So that's the first principle. The second one is eat the rainbow, which, as I mentioned before, I like to do. I like my foods together, different colors, textures, and things like that. Principle 3, follow the 75% rule. I don't really remember what that is, but I think not necessarily saying that you eat healthy all the time, but 75% you are including a lot of the nutrient-dense foods in your diet. Eat the right beans, the whole grains, nuts, and seeds. Meat as medicine, as I mentioned before. Grass-fed meat and eggs, which contains your K2 that helps you absorb your vitamin D and your calcium so it goes where it needs to go and not in your bloodstream causing plaques and kidney stones. Chapter 6, the picky and poultry eggs. Be picky about your poultry, eggs, and fish. As I mentioned before, pasture raised and making sure that they're eating grass. Our meat that we eat need to consume grass because they can digest it, and they have more than one stomach that can turn foods into other things that humans can use that you can't find in foods. Because if we eat grass, we're not gonna make K2 because we don't have that extra stomach to do that. So we want pasteurized, we want wild caught fish, or we want the small fish that don't have as much toxins and mercury in it and metals. And just to speak on that while I'm thinking about it, as I mentioned before, I worked in a Chinese restaurant, and what we had with all of our meals, which is not, the Chinese food that they sell is not how Chinese eat, the real healthy Chinese people eat. I didn't eat like that, I was totally shocked. But anyway, the one thing that we did eat or drink with our food, especially if it had fish in it, was green tea. I think I got one right here. Now, I don't do caffeine, so I got the green tea, pure green decaf, yogi, non-GMO, organic. And I'll try, the regular, but most of my green tea I like to do decaf. And green tea is very magical because it binds toxins, it binds heavy metals out of your system. And as we know, our oceans are not as pure as they used to be, and they have all kinds of metals and plastics in them. And green tea with that, what's the name of it? The polyanthin, I believe that's what I want to say. The chemical that it has in it, that's very strong antioxidant. that helps us build our immune system up as well, but mostly getting rid of those heavy metals and toxins out of your body. So that's very important to include. And I kind of sneak that in my kids' lemonade, and they don't know the difference. Then what else? Have fats with every meal. And fats doesn't necessarily have to mean chicken skin. It could mean how you cook your food with extra virgin olive oil, pasture-raised ghee, butter, avocado, sardines, you know, different things of that nature, which are the healthy fats that will help you basically clean your system, as well as give you the accurate amount of fats to help you absorb your minerals, as well as produce your hormones that you need. And also he mentions avoiding dairy, unless it's like the raw type of dairy. Eat like a regeneration. Treat salt as a recreational drug. As we know, they say that sugar, did I say salt? No, sugar. Treat it like a recreational drug, very sparingly, as much as possible. Don't rely on coffee and alcohol. And my favorite thing of all time is coffee. Used to be coffee. And I try to do it now once in a while, but definitely decaf. But I just love the aroma of coffee, but I can't really drink it. Coffee is it can be very dehydrating, especially if you don't have a good quality coffee. It can also increase your cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and wreak havoc on your body. And plus, sometimes we add a lot of sugar and creams to it, which doesn't make it healthy. Also, alcohol is the same way. Treat those as very much so recreational, also, as much as possible. Leverage personalized nutrition for optimal health. Cleanse, detox, and reset wisely. And I've talked about detoxification before as well. Be careful how you detox your body, because everybody don't need to do extra detox, because our bodies naturally do that anyway. You don't want to deplete your body, because that can wreak havoc on your body and can lead to very dangerous things as well. So you have to really be careful when you're detoxing, especially if you don't really need to detox or detox as much, because the body naturally does that anyway. Assess the risks of benefits of a vegan diet. Like I mentioned before, I've tried all kinds of diets. Vegan did not work well with me. I was not my healthiest as a vegetarian, fruitarian, balanced, or Pegen Diet did it for me. And I didn't even know there was a book. It just came out, and I've been talking about this for quite some time. But this so resonated with me. So I wanted to share that. Eat for gut health. That's one of my favorite chapters as well. He did an excellent job of that. And can't stress that enough. Prebiotics, probiotics, a healthy microbiome is so essential. Because as I mentioned before, our guts, the gut, our intestines is the earth. That's the way we fuel our body. That's the way we fuel our tree. And the same as the outside earth. That's why our soil is being depleted, because the nutrients, the probiotics that we need in it is depleted, because we're not taking care of ourselves as a planet. It's very much so being depleted with the toxins that we put on it, with what we consume, how we're not taking care of ourselves. Unless we take care of ourselves, the more depleted our earth is, the more that we think we need vaccines to protect us from, which really doesn't solve the problem. It basically puts a Band-Aid over it. And, you know, even though it's going to be a hard job, that's truly and honestly, I feel, in the common sense to me, that we really need to work towards is healing ourselves so that we can heal our planet and basically be on the road to recovery. Whether this will vibe with most people because it doesn't benefit monetarily wise, it's not going to resonate with a lot of people, but in my heart I know it's the truth. So I wanted to put that out there. But getting back to a healthy gut, if that makes sense. Our guts, our intestines is our earth. So is the outside the grounds, that's the earth. It works like our intestines because it fuels us. It gives us our nutrients. In some ways, which I didn't know, we can supplement with some probiotics. I suggest doing it slowly. And one probiotic that I did not know about was, what's the name of Acromycin? I believe that's the way you pronounce it, Acromycin. This helps, the mucus lining. It helps repairs the gut. And I didn't really know about it, so I'm glad that I got a chance to read this, and we can find this. And you can't get this probiotic in our food, some of the food, not foods, but the probiotics that we purchase. We have to get it from certain foods like cranberry, pomegranate, and things like that. I can't remember what else you meant, but definitely cranberries and pomegranate is very rich in it. So we want to introduce those type of foods in our diet. We want to increase our blueberries. We want to increase our nuts because they are so rich in tryptophan. And some people soak their nuts overnight so you can digest them better and just lightly toast them. It helps build the tryptophan. And I'll talk about that more also a little bit, I believe, as I go to my next favorite principle. But make sure that we definitely include probiotics. Like, as I mentioned before, some people get fecal implants with healthy microbiomes or healthy bacteria in our guts. And those healthy bacteria that helps fight off, the bad bacteria, like acromation. I'm gonna mess that word up again. Acromacia is key in repairing our guts. So we do need to make sure that we are incorporating that in our diets. And that's all I wanted to basically share about that and emphasize about probiotics in our diet. You can also get probiotics from pickles. You can get them from sauerkraut. And of course, you can get it from your kimchi, and you can get it from natto. A lot of us, we don't have too much natto around here. I've tried it once. But if you put it in rice and gravy, you won't know the difference, really. It has a good taste to it. But it's different, but, it has a good taste to it to me. So that's what I wanted to mention about that. The next one, longevity. Eating for longevity is important as well. You have to, as we get older, we start to lose our bone density. So we need to make sure that we're eating those type of foods and taking those type of supplements to help us as well. We need to make sure that we're eating healthy fats and also incorporating MCT, which is medium chain triglycerides for good brain health, because our brain is made out of fats and water. And if we replace it, eating healthy fats and MCT and drinking good water, that's one way to help promote a healthy brain. So those are some key things to think about also and compared to longevity. Boost mood, that's my next favorite principle. And boosting mood, Hippocrates said, Ibn Sina said, Imhotep said that the start of disease starts in the gut, because as I mentioned, that's our earth. It's going to fuel the rest of our body. And if we have unhealthy bacteria, if we have too much or too little, we're going to be unhealthy. Our immune systems, vitamin D sits in your gut as well. If you don't have any, if you're depleted, we're gonna get sick. That's the bottom line. So we have to supplement, we have to get our probiotics, and it's definitely going to affect our mood. So we do need to incorporate tryptophan, healthy nuts and seeds in our diet so that we can make tryptophan to boost our mood, to help build the melatonin and the serotonin. We need those things. And there are some supplements. Just make sure you look at the source of those supplements when you are looking and researching your tryptophan that they sell as supplements. But I just told you where you can get some tryptophan from. Make healthy eating affordable. And we all know how to have some ideas how to do that. Feed your kids what you eat. It can be kind of difficult at times. When my kids were younger, of course, they did. Now, sometimes they incorporate some of those and sometimes they don't, but I don't really stress it upon them because they'll go somewhere else and eat whatever they want to eat. So honesty plays a good part, and kind of give them some leeway helps as well. Make healthy habits stick is principle 20, and principle 21 is start the Pegen Diet today, which is not a bad idea. I've been doing it all along. Excellent idea, excellent concept. Probably even a book I could have written also if I took the time, but Dr. Mark Hyman did an excellent job. And I would say so far it's the best book of 2021. If you haven't checked it out, I don't know him that well, but I appreciate this book. I emphasize the importance of reading it and applying some of the principles. This is one of many books that I will continue to share about a multitude of things. Anyway, thanks for visiting the city, and I hope that you all have a beautiful rest of your Saturday. Take care.